small shop owner has buyed in the Santa or in any Raitu Bazaar.
एक ही जगह पे मिलके those type of plastics are known as thermosetting plastics. Comparison, there are 3 types:
up, down, right, left.
I am not inferior to anyone.
We are Sweros. You are top on the Everest. Congratulations.
I want to be a leader.
Hi, hello, welcome and good afternoon to all my dear Sweros. This is Madhuri from Gowlidoddi. Before last year, I was with you with the subject physics for 10th class students, and last year I was with the subject English for first year students, and now this year I am with you with the subject English for second years. Dear Sweros, this is Madhuri from Gowlidoddi. I am going to teach the subject English with a grammar item. Let us enter into the topic. Okay. Before entering into the topic, I would like to say a few words. Ours is a magnet college, Gowlidoddi. I love my institution very much. Our institution is considered as a paradigm of the society, and it is also considered as a holy place of Sweros. These all are the words which are coming from the bottom of my heart. These are the words which are directly coming from me, and all these words constitute the speech which is directly coming from me, and it is called as the direct speech. Direct speech. And yes, Sweros, when Secretary Sir came to our institution, he said one thing. What Secretary Sir said? He said, I love the institution Gowlidoddi very much. What Secretary Sir had said? Secretary Sir had said that he loved the institution Gowlidoddi very much. What I am doing here, I am reporting the words of Secretary Sir. That means I am saying the words of Secretary Sir indirectly. The indirect words which are spoken by me are called as the indirect speech. So dear Sweros, in this session we are going to learn all about the speech. The speech are of 2 kinds. They are direct and indirect speech. Today our topic is all about speech. See dear friends, speech are of 2 kinds. They are direct speech and indirect speech. Clear friends? Now let us see what is direct speech. What is direct speech? The actual words of a speaker is known as the direct speech. The actual words of the speaker is known as the direct speech. Let us know some more characteristics of direct speech. See in the PPT, my dear friends. It is the original quotation of talk. See here, it's the original quotation of talk. And this direct speech, it is always placed between the quotation marks. And it is always preceded by the capital letter. These are the characteristics of direct speech. Let us see some examples for clear understanding of the direct speech. Let us see some examples. See, she said, how old are you? Here, this is one of the examples for direct speech. How? Here, in the front one, what we have did, it is the original quotation of talk. Likewise, this statement is also the original quotation of talk, and it is always placed between the quotation marks. See here, my dear friends, how old are you is placed in between the quotation marks, and it is always preceded by the capital letter. See, this direct speech, it's always preceded by the capital letter H. This is one of the best examples for direct speech. One more example, let us see. She said, I love violet color. See, this direct speech statement is in between the quotation marks, and it is preceded by the capital letter I. I think you all understood what is direct speech. Clear? Now friends, let us see what is the meaning of indirect speech. What is indirect speech, my dear friends? Let us see. If the speech is reported by someone else, it is known as the indirect speech. If the speech is reported by someone else, it is known as the indirect speech. See some more characteristics of indirect speech. It's a kind of reported sentence. What is indirect speech? It's one of the kind of reported sentence. As I already said you before that Secretary Sir said that I love the institution Gowlidoddi very much. In such a way, the indirect speech is a kind of reported sentence and it retells one ideas and talks. Okay? So, for clear understanding of changing the sentences from direct to indirect speech, let us take one example. See my dear friends, Rani said, I want to buy a new pen. This is obviously in a direct speech because the statement is in between the quotation marks and that is preceded by the capital letter I and that is called as the direct speech. When changes into the indirect speech, what happens? Rani said that she wanted to buy a new pen. That is in the indirect speech. Let us see what are the changes affected when the sentence in the direct speech changed into the indirect speech. See my dear friends, what are the changes affected? The comma after said and the quotation marks are removed. See here, in indirect speech, the comma and the quotation marks were removed and the conjunction that is used. The conjunction that is used and the pronoun I is changed to she because Rani is a girl, right? That's why the pronoun I is changed to she and the verb want is changed to wanted. See, Rani said that she wanted to buy a new pen. Is it clear my dear friends? Okay, see here. Dear friends, in such a way we can change the direct speech into indirect speech. But in such a way, we can't change all the statements from the direct speech into indirect speech according to our will and wish. There are some rules to be followed to change the statements from direct to indirect. So, let us learn what are those rules to change the direct speech into indirect speech. Okay? See the PPT. My dear friends, there are some simple rules. There are some simple rules to be followed to change the direct speech into indirect speech. Number 1, that is, all the auxiliary verbs in the present tenses will change into the past forms. All the auxiliary verbs in the present tenses will change into the past forms. For example, is and am will change to was and are will change to were and have or has will change to had and can will change to could and may will change to might and shall will change to should. This is the first rule for changing the direct speech into indirect speech. Dear friends, and the second rule is the words which expressing the nearness will change into the words which expresses the distance while changing the statements from direct to indirect. So, let us see some examples. This will become that and these will become those and now will become then and here will become there and today will become that day and tomorrow will become the next day and yesterday will become the day before or the previous day and last night will become the night before and ago will become before. These are the simple rules to change the direct speech into indirect speech. See here my dear friends. Actually, my dear friends, see here. We have to know about this change in speech in tenses too. You all know that the kinds of tenses. How many kinds of tenses are there? Tenses are of 3 types. They are present tense, past tense and future tense. Dear sparrows, you have learned what is direct speech, what is indirect speech and what are the rules to be followed to change the direct speech into indirect speech. Right my dear friends? So, now let us see how we can change the direct speech into indirect speech, the statements in course of tenses. Okay? And the first case of tenses is the present tense. Dear friends, the subdivision of the present tense is of 4 kinds. That is, one is simple present. The first one is the simple present. And the second thing is present continuous. And the third thing in the present tense is the present perfect. The present perfect. And the fourth thing in the present tense is the present perfect continuous. These are the four kinds in the present tense. So, let us see what is the change of speech in the present tense for the first subdivision, that is simple present. See my dear friends, here the simple present tense when changes into the indirect speech, it will change into the simple past. Take an example. The girl said, I like sweets. That is obviously in a direct speech, because the comma and the quotation marks were there, and the capital letter I, it is preceded by the statement, and this is the direct speech. Then while changing into the indirect speech, it changed into the simple past. How? Let us see. The girl said that she liked sweets. What are the changes affected? The conjunction that is used, and the pronoun I changed it to she, and the like in the present tense changed it to the liked in the past tense. So, this is one of the example for simple present tense changing into the simple past. Clear my dear friends? Yes. Now, let us go for the second one, that is present continuous. Take an example for clear understanding my dear friends. See, the second thing is that the present continuous. The present continuous while changing into the indirect speech, it changes the past continuous. For example, mother said, he is playing in the ground. In indirect speech, mother said that he was playing in the ground. See my dear friends, the conjunction that is used and the verb is became to was in the past continuous tense, and totally the mother said that he was playing in the ground. In such a way, the present continuous in indirect speech will change into the past continuous of indirect speech. Clear my dear friends? Now, let us see the third mode of present tense is that present perfect. In the present perfect, if we take an example, we will get, see here, present perfect. The present perfect when changes into the indirect speech, it will change the past perfect. Clear? Take an example. He said, I have seen the movie. Then, in indirect speech, what happens? He said that he had seen the movie, because it is changing into the past perfect, right? The changes affected here are the conjunction that is used, and I became he and have became had. Totally, he said that he had seen the movie. Clear my dear friends? That is all about the present perfect changing into the past perfect tense. And the fourth thing of present tense is the present perfect continuous. Let us see what is present perfect continuous, the fourth subdivision of the present tense. What happens if we change the present perfect continuous tense into the indirect speech? Let us see my dear friends. See here, the present perfect continuous when changes into the indirect speech, it changes into the past perfect continuous. Take an example. She said, I have been writing this story since 1 hour. In indirect speech, she said that she had been writing that story since 1 hour. See my dear friends, this is an important one. Here, the comma and the quotation marks were removed, and the conjunction that is used, and the pronoun I became she, and have became had, and this became that. As I already told you before, the words which expresses the nearness will change into the words which expresses the distance. That means, this will become that. The word which expresses the nearness will change to the word which expresses the distance. See in this example, she said that she had been writing that story since 1 hour. Clear? So many changes affected here to remember. Okay? Now, dear friends, this is all about the present tense. And the second thing of the tense is the past tense. In the past tense, we will have the first thing, the simple past. What is that? Simple past. Friends, let us see about simple past ones. See the PPT. The past tense is the simple past. It may or may not change. if there is a change, this is the best example. See, she said, I had my lunch. In indirect speech, she said that she had her lunch. There is no change in the tense while changing the speech of simple past. See here, what are the changes affected? She said that she had her lunch. Dear friends, the conjunction that is used, and I became she and my became her. This is all about the simple past if there is no change in the tense while changing it in the indirect speech. She said that she had her lunch. That's all. But friends, if there is a change in the simple past, what happens? Let us see. If the simple past has any change in the tense in the indirect speech, what happens? It changes to the past perfect. If there is indirect speech, it changes to the past perfect. Take an example. Tom said, I spoke to the principal yesterday. In indirect speech, Tom said that he had spoken to the principal the previous day. Clear, friends? What are the changes affected here? The conjunction that is used, and I became he, because Tom is a boy, right? Yes. And I spoke to the principal yesterday became he had spoken to the principal the previous day. Clear, friends? Here he had spoken. Spoken, the V3 is used here, and yesterday became the previous day. As I already told you before, the words which expresses the nearness will change in the words which expresses the distance, like yesterday into previous day, this to that, tomorrow to the next day. Clear, friends? If there is a change in the simple past, it changes past perfect. That's all. Clear, friends? Yes. And the second thing of the past tense, let us see. I think you are all clear about the present tense. Now let us see the past tense. In the past tense, my dear friends, in the simple past, you saw that there may or may not be a change. If there is a change, it changed in the past perfect. You all know that. If there is no change, no change. If there is a change, it will change into the past perfect. Okay, my dear friends. Then the second thing of the past tense is the past continuous. As you all know, the second subdivision of the past tense is past continuous. Let us see if the statement of past continuous changes into indirect speech, what happens? See the PPT, my dear friends? The past continuous. The past continuous in indirect speech, it changes into the past perfect continuous. For clear understanding, let us go to the example. He said Raju was delivering a letter. He said Raju was delivering a letter. It was obviously in the direct speech because it is in between the quotation marks and it is preceded by the capital letter R. See, my dear friends, in indirect speech what happened? He said that Raju had been delivering a letter. Raju had been delivering a letter. What are the changes affected here? The conjunction that is used, and Raju had been was became had been because past is changing into the past perfect. Had been is used, delivering a letter. On the whole, he said that Raju had been delivering a letter. This type of change occurs in the past continuous. And my dear friends, the third thing of the past tense is all about past perfect. What is that? Past perfect. Now let us see how the past perfect will change into the indirect speech. Let us take one example. See here, past perfect. Past perfect does not change. How? Let us take an example. She said, I had taken my supper. In indirect speech, she said that she had taken her supper. What are the changes affected? I became she and the conjunction that is used, and my became her. On the whole, she said that she had taken her supper. Clear, my dear friends? Yes. Then this is all about the third thing of the past tense, that is past perfect. And the fourth thing of the past tense is the past perfect continuous. See, my dear friends, in the past perfect continuous, how it will change in the indirect speech, in what tense it will change, if there is a change or not, let us see. Past perfect continuous does not change. Take an example. Jim said, I had been singing this song since 4 hours. In indirect speech, Jim said that he had been singing that song since 4 hours. Dear friends, what are the changes affected here? Here the conjunction that is used and the pronoun I became he, because Jim is a male, right? Yes. And this became that. Totally, Jim said that he had been singing that song since 4 hours. In the case of this changing to that, the rule is the words which expresses the nearness will change to the words which expresses the distance. Clear, my dear friends? Okay. This is all about the past tense. Now, let us enter into the third tense, that is future tense. The third thing is that the future tense. In the future tense, the first thing is the simple future. Simple future. So now let us see the sentences of the simple future, how it becomes if it changes to the indirect speech. Okay, take an example. The future simple. In that future simple, will changes to would. For example, John said, I will buy this car. In indirect speech, John said that he would buy that car. What it becomes? John said that he would buy that car. Here what are the changes affected? The conjunction that is used and I became he, because John is a male, right? Yes. And this became that. The words which expresses the nearness will change the words which expresses the distance and will change it to would. That is all about the future simple. Now, the second thing of the future tense is future continuous. Now, let us see, friends, what are the statements of future continuous, how will change it in the indirect speech. See here. The future continuous, in that future continuous will changes to would be. For example, Tony said, I will be waiting for you. Tony said that he would be waiting for me. What are the changes affected here? The conjunction that is used and I became he, because Tony is a male, and will become would be, and for me, the for you is changed to for me. On the whole, Tony said that he would be waiting for me. In such a way, the future continuous will change to would be. And my dear friends, this is all about the change of speech in the tenses, that is present, past and future. And there are also some of the exceptional cases to change the speech. Let us see them. The first exceptional case. See here, my dear friends, when the same person reports himself, then the second person changes to the first person. See here, when the same person reports himself, the second person changes in the first person. How it will be? Take an example. He said, you alone can help me. In indirect speech, he said that I alone could help him. He said that I alone could help him. What are the changes affected? The conjunction that is used and you became I and can became could. Clear, friends? Here he said, you alone can help me. That changed into that I alone could help him. That is the fourth exceptional case. That is when the same person reports himself, the second person changes to the first person. Like this example. Okay? That is one of the exceptional case. And if you come to the second exceptional case, that is the nominative of address. The nominative of address changes into the person spoken to. Change into the person spoken to. Take an example. Tom said, Father, I want a new pen. Friends, did you see the statements like this before? Did you see the statements like this before? We have seen just like a statement. We did not add father, mother, like that, any nominative address. Here father is a nominative of address. Then how it will change in indirect speech? Let us see. Tom told his father that he wanted a new pen. What are the changes affected? Here the said, instead of said, we got told here, and told his father that, the conjunction that is used, and I became he and want became wanted. The verb want became wanted. And this is one of the exceptional case that the nominative of address changes into the person spoken to. Clear, my dear friends? The nominative of address changes into the person spoken to. Clear, my dear friends? Then let us see another exceptional case, that is when pronouns and possessive adjectives of first and second persons change into the third person. We are all about speaking about the third person. See the example. He said, I shall return your book tomorrow. I shall return your book tomorrow. He said that he would return his book the next day. Here the usage of would is more appropriate. Dear friends, the conjunction that is used, and I became he and your became his, tomorrow became the next day. Here it is all about speaking this about the third person. He said that he would return his book the next day. See, my dear friends, he said that he would return his book the next day. Here the third person is involving in the speech. Clear, my dear friends? This is one of the exceptional case. Dear friends, you all know these exceptional cases, and now, dear friends, you all know the types of sentences, right? Let us see the types of sentences in that how the speech will change. Okay, you now you knew about some exceptional cases and how the speech will change in the tenses. You knew about that. Now let us see about the types of sentences. The types of sentences. There are 4 types of sentences. One is declarative sentences. The second one is interrogative sentences. Interrogative sentences. And the third one is imperative sentences. Imperative sentences. And the fourth thing is the exclamatory sentences. So, my dear friends, let us see how the change of speech in those types of sentences. See here, declarative sentences. What do you mean by declarative sentences? The sentences which are in the form of statements are called as declarative sentences. That is all we have did till now. So, let us go to the second one, that is interrogative sentences. What are interrogative sentences? The sentences which asks a question, those are called as the interrogative sentences. Then how the speech will change in that interrogative sentences, let us see. Interrogative sentences are questions. The introductory verb said is called as the introductory verb will change into asked, inquired, demanded. What happens here? The introductory verb said will change to the asked, inquired and demanded. Clear, friends? Next, let us take an example for that. Interrogative sentences changing from direct to indirect speech. For example, how many pencils have you? He said. This is one of the type of interrogative sentence. Then what it becomes? He asked how many pencils I had. Instead of introductory verb said, we have to use asked, inquired or demanded. This is one kind of question, so we used asked here. He asked how many pencils I had. What are the changes affected here? The question marks is dropped. Order of last 2 words inverted, that is the verb follows the subject. What happened here? Have you. What happened, my dear friends? Have and you. The order of the last 2 words inverted. The verb follows the subject. Here you became I and have became had. These last 2 words are inverted. Clear, friends? These are the changes.